Hello, everyone, and welcome to The Rundown, where we talk about 2A news and conservative views. I will be your host today, Craig DeLuz, coming at you from the West Coast, the left coast, behind the Iron Curtain, otherwise known as the Sierras. But as we all know, I do not do this program by myself.
No, my name is Mike Piwowarski. I am the co-host from the East Coast. That's the coast with the most from the co-host with the most here on The Rundown, 2A news, conservative views. How was your weekend, sir?
It was phenomenal. I spent the weekend in the Santa Cruz Mountains doing some camping with some good brothers from all across the state. Had a very, very good time. Spirits were consumed. Lots of red meat was consumed. And good time was had by all.
Listen, I consider camping if I pass out on the couch. I think that's camping for me at this point. I'm not going out in the woods. I'm not doing it. You can keep all that. That's on you. I'm done. The camping part of my life's over. Over.
Over. That's okay. I'm good with that. I'm good with that. As long as I am not prevented from camping, that's all good. Anyway.
Oh, I would never presume to prevent someone from camping. I may ridicule them. I'm just not going to join it.
How was your weekend, sir?
Very good, very good. You know, of all the legal happenings we had occur last week, it was pre-planned well in advance without being a forecast. I spent the weekend with some of the area's top lawyers, and so the conversation got really interesting when it came to the Supreme Court this last week. So had a really good time, socially and mentally, with these gentlemen.
Well, it's funny you say that because like Thursday, for those of you who don't know, I also host a show with the Firearms Policy Coalition called Morning Coffee with Craig. But we actually wound up doing a symposium Thursday night, talking with, once again, some of the nation's top Second Amendment advocates talking about that decision. Really, it was a master class. You know, normally I'm here, we're talking. I literally in the middle of it, I'm just listening to all of this good stuff. And then Friday, you have the Roe decision come down. And it was amazing to me to see the left lose their minds over the weekend.
Yeah. Absolutely what happened. And in fact, I think our stories reflect that. It's just, watching. In fact, the commentary we had this weekend when I was with this group of attorneys was more so what the counter arguments were coming out of the left as opposed to what actually says in the opinions themselves.
Well, exactly. That was the other thing was most of the people who were commenting, you could tell had not read the actual opinions or didn't have sufficient enough arguments against the opinions. Now, the one thing I did not do in either case is I still haven't read the dissenting opinions because I want to see what their basis in law is for their dissent of the decisions. I'm going to guess that there's not much, and I'm assuming that based on the fact that publicly we're not hearing much in terms of an actual, the only thing I'm hearing in terms of Roe was, it's been around for 50 years. It's been precedent for 50 years. Well, you know what? If it's been wrong for 50 years, then it's really not sound precedent, is it?
Right, and they did discuss that at length. They discussed, the principle of, stare decisis, and then they discussed, like I said, I think we talked about last week, the example of Plessy versus Ferguson. Just because we made the decision doesn't mean we made the right decision, and it was time to correct it. So,
exactly,
they did.
Exactly.
The dissenting opinions in the New York State Rifle and Pistol Association is more of the lock, step, and barrel of every town and crazy moms, anti-gun sentiment. There's nothing in there based in fact. In fact, even I believe it was Judge Alito cited that all of your gun laws in New York, and it didn't stop the shooting in Buffalo.
Oops.
Yeah.
But anyway, hey folks, before we get into because once again, there's going to be a lot to talk about in terms of the reaction to SCOTUS. But want to make sure, however you're watching, however you're listening, make sure that you share, and encourage your friends to watch the program. If you're watching us on YouTube and Facebook, make sure you hit that notification button. That way, as soon as we go live, you can participate you'll be notified and you can participate in the live chat as the program is taking place. But also, if you just want to listen to us, there's tons of places. Wherever you get your podcast, you can find the Rundown. Just put in Rundown 2A News and Conservative Views, and you will find the Rundown. So watch us, listen to us. however you decide to partake, but make sure that you share.
Do it. Do it now.
Do
Do it
that
often.
stuff. Do that stuff. Right?
Do it.
Okay.
Do what the guy said. Do the thing.
Do what
Do the
that guy
thing.
said. That guy right
Do the
there.
thing.
Yeah. So, all right, Mike, let's start with America's reaction. And it has been aplenty. The overall reaction that I have seen, more than probably anything else, has just been, well, there's actually very little, if any, basis in fact or in reality when it comes to many of their positions. And here, this was the one we have after Supreme Court's overturned New York's concealed carry law. You have America's reacting, right? And you got some guys here. Now, this was an interesting one. So this is New York City, right? This is a place that is steeped in gun violence. And so they're doing kind of the man on the street interviews. And so here you got this one guy, this New Yorker's like, I think today's ruling by the Supreme Court is dangerous. It probably is going to put a lot more guns on the streets that probably are already there.
Yeah, it's like what? It's going to put a lot more guns on the street that are probably already there. They're what? They're.
Right.
This is the sentiment. This is the. Nobody's done any research. Nobody's taken one look at this. They're going around and they're finding the people on the street and they're going, "What do you think about more guns in New York?" And those are the questions they're asking because they're not showing you the questions they're asking. They're not showing you the. What do you think about people that can go through a licensing process to get a background check and then some training and then be allowed to carry concealed to protect themselves in New York? That's not what they're asking them. They're asking them, "What do you think about a bunch more guns in New York City?" And these are the idiot responses that we get.
Well, but Mike, now here's another one. This is another stupid one, right? It's just going to add a lot more to the numbers, Brian said. We don't know who's carrying guns right now. It's frightening. Now, Mike,
I think he summed up the problem, right?
Right.
we don't know who's carrying guns right now. It is frightening. I am all for no registration, okay?
Right.
But if the method that we have to use to get citizens to be able to lawfully carry is the background check, then do the background check right now, okay?
Right.
Here's the compromise, all right, folks? Again, yesterday you could carry nothing. Tomorrow you'll be able to carry with a background check.
Right.
Take it. The next piece we'll get back is constitutional carry. Okay.
By the way, Mike, just an FYI, do you know how many more criminals are going to be carrying guns now?
Let me think. The same amount of criminals.
Exactly, because
the same amount of criminals.
They were already carrying the guns. They were already carrying guns. Look, all this does is potentially increase the number of law-abiding citizens or law-abiding residents who will be able to possess a firearm outside of the home. Here's another great quote from a New Yorker. This is Mila. Mila says she called the ruling shameful. We don't want their decisions, she told Fox News. The illegitimacy of not being able to have an abortion, but being exposed to guns everywhere. It's horrible. Being exposed to guns everywhere.
I don't understand the illegitimacy of an abortion. I'm not sure that I think she's close, but she's not quite there. Here's the issue, and this is part of the conversation we had this weekend. First off, when dealing with Roe versus Wade, anybody that's a supporter of abortion, they have not read one sentence of the decision. They have not read anything at all. Nope. The first part, in fact, when you talk to, and I'm going to give you the quote, when you talk to an attorney about what just happened, here's the commentary you're going to get from them. It says, this is the first thing and only thing they'll say about it. They say, held, the Constitution does not confer a right to abortion. Roe and Casey are overruled, and the authority to regulate abortion is returned to the people and their elected representatives. That sums up all 300 pages or 200 pages in two sentences right there. But the opposition to this doesn't even have that sentence. Doesn't even have that. Oh, You've just made abortions illegal. No, what they did is they returned it to the states. We said that. Do some states have trigger laws that are going to ban abortion? Yeah, they absolutely do. But that's up to it's up to the individual states' rights.
Guess who gets to make that decision? The people.
Correct.
The people get to make that decision.
Yeah, and listen, and I get it's not like every other state's going to ban abortion, every other state's going to allow it. If you live in a place like Georgia, and you want to get yourself an abortion, you may have to travel a couple of states to go get one. Right now, Florida bans abortions post 15 weeks. Mm-hmm. So, but 15 weeks, folks, that's almost 4 months. Okay, that's just past. You're into the second trimester there. Okay,
there are. By the way, there are no states that are going to out and outright ban abortion. Now there are many that will have restrictions, and some will be more restrictive than others. But the point is that they will then be able to regulate it.
Right. There are states that have a couple of trigger laws that they're going to ban abortion. Now,
right,
Craig, those laws have been on the books since 73, 74.
Right.
Okay. So here's what you're going to see happen. Those laws are going to get updated. Okay. Right. They're going to include things like, rape or incest, exceptions. They're going to include, and most of those states already include health of the mother. They're not these laws were not designed to kill the mother. Okay.
Right.
So you're going to see that part already exists. You're going to see the other parts updated in these laws that are 50 years old. No state, you give it, a couple months, no state, or give it one legislative cycle, no state's going to have an abortion law that includes we're not going to exempt rape and incest. That will be included. Right. So if your whole challenge, and this is 90% of what you see when you read this, is that, what if it's rape or what if it's incest? Okay, guess what? That's going to be in your law. You're going to be taken care of. They're going to update the laws that follow on this law.
By the way, Mike, that represents, rape, incest, and to protect the life of the mother amount to less than 6% of all abortions.
Oh, absolutely. Listen, it's come to the point where abortion is seen as nothing more than another form of birth control. There's one woman on here, and I don't know if we have the quotes. She says, well, what if my daughter gets pregnant and doesn't want to have a child? And my response was, well, don't let your daughter be a slut. How about that? How about teach them a little morality? How about teach them that killing a child, is not the answer. And Florida's got a 15-week one now, and I have no idea which way Florida's going to go because we are very red. But like I said before, abortion's no longer a red versus blue issue. It's a personal issue, and it depends on morality. And Craig, if I don't have the stats in front of me, but I guarantee you, the amount of people that went to church regularly in 1973 is a huge difference than the people that go to church in 2022.
Well, but I also think that, and polls have already shown that, look, the general, and I'm being very general in terms of the consensus on where people are on abortion, is generally, for the most part, the overwhelming number of people they believe abortion should be legal, late-term abortion should not be. They believe in reasonable regulations.
Yeah.
And I think the problem is that you've got some places and some politicians who believe abortion should be legal even after the child's born. Those are
New York proposed that.
Exactly.
Remember? New York proposed that. Yeah.
Well, you had our former president Barack Obama, when he was in the Illinois Senate, refused to support a piece of legislation that would have, if a child had survived an abortion and was now born and was now outside of the womb, there was a bill that would have required physicians to do something to try and save that child. He wouldn't support that bill. He refused to support it. Now, to me, my understanding, and I'm not a lawyer, but that sounds like infanticide. If you cannot protect a child or to help defend or protect a child's life after it's born, that's infanticide.
And I remember when Barack Obama was doing that, and I think the comment I heard then was that they should make abortion legal through the 150th trimester just for him. Yeah.
There you go.
Do the math, folks. Do the math. Some of the other comments that you see with the abortion, again, 100% clear that this is emotion and not based on fact. You're not seeing anybody, read these opinions. That the abortion is a restriction of women's rights. It takes away women's rights. They are no longer a complete citizen. It takes away their rights. And I'm sorry, Craig, and I'll say this to any woman's face to face. I've had this conversation a couple of times since then. When a woman is the only one involved in conception, then we can talk about it's your rights that are being taken away, not the man's rights as well. Okay, if you've been blessed with the Lord's child inside of you, and the Lord said He wants it to be aborted, you know that's between you and Him. But as for the rest of us, it takes two to make a child. I'm sorry, but I think the father should have as much rights as well. I hate to go back to a comedian, but I think Dave Chappelle said it right. If you expect me to pay child support, then I better have a say in the decision if the child, lives or dies, right? And that was his comment. So, but from there, Craig, they say, well, now that we have abortion, the next step is to take away women's right to vote. We're going to end suffrage. We're going to get rid of that. We're going to take away women's voting rights. We're going to take it. They just start to list off rights of women that we're going to be coming after next, because that's what the Supreme Court's going to do: take away women's rights.
Well,
and you sit there and you're like, it's like they got an ISDN cord from Hillary plugged in the back of their head, Matrix style, and it's just feeding these lines out.
It reminds me of, and this is the one thing that I think that they wanted to make sure to note was this, especially since we now know, since science helps us to know and understand more about the gestation process and when a life begins. The fact is the Supreme Court, in their ruling, in their decision, wanted to let folks know this. For those who don't understand, yes, this is your body. But understand that there's another individual who's part of this decision-making process. And as you see from this particular meme, there's a woman, and inside there is a baby. And it says, for those of you who do not understand, this is your body, referring to the woman. And then inside the tummy, you see the little baby there, and it says, this is the body of someone else. And that's what when we talk about whether or not we should be regulating abortion, whether or not we should be determining whether or not it should be legal, we're not trying to say we're trying to control someone's body. We're saying that, look, there is another life here that needs to be considered. And we need to have the ability to consider that life, as opposed to just like we've been doing for the last 50 years, writing off that life as though it does not exist and does not matter.
Their argument, Craig, will be is it's not another body inside my body. It's a part of my body until it's out. We continue to hear that. One of the most interesting arguments I heard was not just the position on abortion, but the position on prostitution. So if the woman says it's her body, her choice, if she wants to have the abortion or not, the question came up, right? Well, should the government outlaw prostitution? Yep. And pretty much universally it was, well, yes, the government should have laws for prostitution. They said, oh, okay, so you're okay with the government owning the vagina, but not the uterus. The uterus is yours, the vagina is not. Got it. Okay, got
it. Excellent point.
Yeah.
And now, one of the other reactions you've seen to the Supreme Court has been literally places like California, who have been in complete and utter defiance of the law. Of the Supreme Court. And they pretty much said, look, whether it was abortion in Roe or whether it was the Second Amendment, they pretty much said, yeah, no, we're coming out against you guys. And this is an example from Yahoo News where they say California offers a blueprint for states affected by Supreme Court ruling. What they're going to do is they're going to do like New York attempted to do, and create a whole bunch of sensitive, quote unquote, sensitive places where you're not going to be able to carry a gun. And once again, it goes back to this is the Attorney General for the state of California, the top cop in the state of California. And what they pretty much forgot was, in the decision, they pretty much said, you can't do that. They said, for those of you who want to go and create a bunch of sensitive places and make it so that it's almost impossible for people to be able to exercise their right to bear arms, no, you cannot do that.
Yeah, I mean, again, governor and the attorney general of the state of California have not read this, have not read the opinion. Their statements of, well, we'll just make every place a sensitive place. That was clearly covered by Justice Thomas. He said, no, you're not doing that. We're not going to allow that. Well, maybe California law, Craig, or the way you interpret California law is different, because when Judge Thomas said, "I will not allow that," we will not allow the entire city or county, which is the same in Manhattan, by the way, the entire city or county to be declared a sensitive place. Maybe the Attorney General read, "Well, that didn't say California, right? It didn't say California." It's,
Yeah.
so I guess he forgets that the California is still technically part of the United States.
Well, technically. Technically. That's why. So there was a move a couple of years ago called Cal Exit, a bunch of liberals who wanted to take California out of the United States. And a lot of conservatives were up in arms about it. But I'm like, wait, guys. Let them do it. Because then here's what happens. So then California secedes from the nation, and then we secede from California and take the America part back. And we go back. So we become, and what are they going to do? So when we secede from California, we'll have all the guns.
Yeah, exactly right.
We'll go back to the United States and let the People's Republic of California do as they will, because, screw those guys.
That's what they do. That's what they do. Yeah, the other thing mentioned in this by your Attorney General there and by the governor, and in fact, I think the governor, if you'll go to that one with California, Craig, the very bottom, the governor's got a great statement. But they also say that they're going to, create a law where you can sue the gun manufacturers. How many times are we going to go through this with California? No, you can't do that. Lawsuits have been brought against against gun manufacturers from California, and they've continued to be dropped because of PLACA, the Lawful Commerce and Arms Act. If you'll go all the way to the bottom down there, I think it's like the last sentence in the whole story is from there you go.
I thought about the children of Uvalde. Yep. Is that where it started?
Yes.
I thought about the children of Uvalde and how we have not done enough to keep them and other children and other Americans in our country safe from gun violence, Bonta said. This is a step backwards. This is a sad day, but the fight continues, and there are many, many pathways, actionable steps that can be taken to make communities safe from gun violence that are not being done now.
Yeah, again, has no clue what's going on in everywhere. Okay, according to this, it is the gun. It is the gun. It is the gun. It is the gun. Is the gun. And he has no concept whatsoever if the person is liable for these actions.
By the way, Mike, just so that Mr. Bonta knows, one of the whole points of the quote unquote discretion that was given to allow law enforcement officials to be able to decide who could carry a gun. It was a way in which to keep people of color, undesirable people, from being able to get concealed carry permits. It was a way to keep Mexicans, Latinos, Asians, or Chinese at the time, and black people from being able to obtain concealed carry permits. That was the point of it.
One of the conversations I had this weekend is with an educated, respectable Jewish woman that I know, right? Mm-hmm. About our age, Craig, right? Mm-hmm. And I have swayed her, I believe, on the Second Amendment's right argument. On the Roe v. Wade thing, I don't think that's ever going to happen. I think that's so fed in, to the brain, to the ideology there, that's not going to happen. But the Second Amendment point that I got across to her was, and I finally said, how many armed Jews do you think got on the trains? and it was like snap, it was like, oh crap, yeah, okay, right. all right.
Well, that's the truth, and it's kind of funny whenever you see those memes. They always are fact checked on Facebook. Yeah, but I'm like, the funny part is once again, and at least Facebook has finally admitted that their fact checking is nothing but opinion. Because that's all it is. It's not based on actual fact. Because when you go and you read the fact checking, they don't actually debunk anything.
Now, your statement that Facebook's fact checking is really opinion, is that your fact or an opinion?
That is actually a statement that they made during a court case. So those are their words, Not mine. Well, they're mine, but but
Wait, but you got
my
that,
words
but you
coming
got
out
that,
of their mouth. How about that?
but you got that information from Facebook.
Right. I got that information from Facebook, which means it's probably an opinion.
On fact, that's an opinion.
Right.
Actually.
Right. It's a fact that they said it.
Yeah. There you go.
There you go.
There you go.
But dude, anyway, so you're gonna see a bunch of laws that are gonna come out of California. There's gonna be a whole new set of court cases. Now, once again, I think one of the things that I think we're gonna really look at is the very fact of how much they push the idea of gun laws should not be. First of all, this whole two-step rational basis crap that they've been using, gone. Yeah. Even intermediate scrutiny, gone. Their thing is this. Look, it's going to be strict scrutiny. You're going to have to. It's now going to be the burden of the government to prove that either one, it's not an actual infringement, or number two, this law specifically meets a significant government interest, that they looked at other ways and there's no other way that they can do this. And this is the least restrictive way for them to do that. And remember, California have never had to do that in court ever. They've never had to do that.
They got rid of the two-step process. So the intermediate scrutiny and the strict scrutiny are both gone now. The only step is, does it fit with the plain text of the Second Amendment? And you could use historical references towards that if you'd like, but it has to fit the plain text of the Second Amendment. Oh, well, we're going to go to step 2 where we go through intermediate scrutiny or strict scrutiny. No, not anymore. You're not. Not anymore. You're not. We're not
doing, and it's called interest balancing. No more interest balancing. Yeah. Look, my right is my right. I don't care if it affects your interests or not.
Correct.
And what the Supreme Court is saying is that we're talking, it's got to have a significant reason why, okay, if we're going to tread on this, if we're going to infringe, it better be a damn good reason why.
Yeah, I have never seen a ruling come out of the Supreme Court that spent so much time telling people how they got the last ruling wrong, and how you will not do this again. And here is the clear, rather than left to an interpretive standard.
Right.
This is the clear new standard that you shall follow no matter what. End of story. Close the book, tie it closed, hit the snap, put the lock button,
read my lips,
hit the remote, you're done. Yeah.
Exactly. And by the way, speaking of that, and this is going to be very interesting, and this gets into our next story. In Colorado, there is a movement of individuals, and this is not new to the United States. There's been a bunch of these. But specifically in Colorado, there's an AP article talking about the number of sheriffs. And the funny part is you read the headline and it says, the whole headline is about some sheriffs are running to not enforce certain laws. And really so it makes it sound like, okay, these are rogue sheriffs who are going to flat out ignore the Constitution and ignore what their roles are as law enforcement officers. Kind of, and they're trying to compare them, I think, to the George Soros district attorneys who are not enforcing laws. But these are Colorado sheriffs who basically they call themselves constitutional sheriffs, who literally are looking at some of these laws that are passed in places like Colorado that are clearly and obviously violations of the Second Amendment, and they're basically saying, "Yeah, I'm not going to enforce that law because it violates the Constitution of the United States." Anyway, this is a movement that's been going on nationally and seems to be getting some attention there in Colorado.
This it makes me remember back to watching old A-Team episodes or the old Equalizer where they'd roll into town and there'd be a crooked sheriff, smoking a cigar, wearing black gloves, and they were running drugs and prostitutes with. It makes it sound like that's these kind of sheriffs they're trying to elect, right? These criminal sheriffs. Like The Rock had to face in Walking Tall. Remember, one of those kind of sheriffs. And no, these are people that have said, okay, I see the laws you've written here in your state, and I also have a copy of the U.S. Constitution. And I can tell you right now that the seizure of firearms, that red flag laws, are not within accordance with the Constitution. Listen, it would be the same thing if they come along and said, we're not going to allow black people to vote without paying a tax. These sheriffs would say, not in the Constitution. Okay, stop creating new nonsense down at the local level. If it's not in the Constitution, I'm not enforcing it.
Exactly. You got one guy here. This is the sheriff. This is Sheriff John Anderson. He's a candidate for in Douglas County. He says, no boss, no governor, no socialist agenda will take away my focus to fight for and protect our Constitution. Now, keep in mind that when you get elected, a part of that is to protect and defend the Constitution of these United States.
Yeah.
So when someone, I mean, and the worst part is many of these legislators, many of the people who pass these laws and sign them into law, they know nothing about firearms technology, or even firearms law, and they're passing stuff that is clearly not constitutional. And you just have these sheriffs who are saying, "Yeah, I'm not obligated to. I am not. Not only am I not obligated to defend that violation of the Constitution, I'm actually took an oath to not violate the Constitution. So I just can't support that. I won't enforce that."
His duties, even when he says his oath, his duties are to enforcing the Constitution and to the people of his jurisdiction.
Right.
It doesn't say anything about reporting to the governor or anything like that. The constitutional sheriff's office was made for that reason. So you would have people loyal to the Constitution, no matter how far out or how west they got, or now back how east, however you want to do it, where you had crooked politicians. The sheriff was autonomous and could say, not in the Constitution, not doing it.
Exactly. Mike, I want to hit this last story really, really quick, only because there are some places out there that are getting it right when it comes to taking care of and protecting our kids, as well as protecting, by the way, the Constitution of the United States. So Oklahoma has passed a law, or not even passed a law, they instituted via executive order a number of things that are going to protect kids in school. Once again, this is, while at the same time respecting the Second Amendment, is going to actually make our schools safer, or make the schools there in Oklahoma safer. You want to go over just a few of the details of what they put in place, Mike?
Things that we talked about. Craig, you have risk assessments that must be done now at every school. So they have to have risk assessments that are done as far as shootings go. The supporting of the infrastructure in schools that would support protecting children from firearms. The training of the law enforcement agencies that have schools that must meet a national standard and make sure everybody has this training by the end of the year on how to deal with mass shootings or armed invaders inside of schools. All of these things now in Oklahoma via executive order are being done. The one thing we'd like to see, Craig, is the ability for teachers to be armed if they chose to do so. Again, we're not talking about arming teachers. We're talking about those people that already have a firearms permit or carry a firearm under constitutional carry, whatever it is, to be allowed to carry past that imaginary line. I think the only reason Oklahoma didn't do that, or the governor there didn't do it, is he wants that to probably pass via regular legislative body as opposed to an executive order.
I would definitely tend to agree with you. And it probably, if there is a prohibition in the state for that, then an executive order would not be within the realm of what is legal. Now, we know, you and I know, that wouldn't stop a Democrat if they wanted to do the exact opposite. But they called this is called Mission SOS, which is Mission Secure Our Schools. Once again, they focus on mental health. They focus on training for law enforcement and staff, because that was one of the big things they noted from Uvalde was clearly there was not sufficient enough. The law enforcement there did not have, whether it was the leadership or whether it was the people on the ground, the response was not good. And so now they want to make sure that the response is good. I think instituting training for teachers, allowing them to be able to carry and allowing them to train alongside law enforcement, much the way Faster Saves Lives does, allowing that sort of training and integration, I think would make a huge difference. Because once again, all respect to law enforcement, but they can't be everywhere. And
absolutely. And this is a good couple of first steps. Again, you said, I don't think the governor giving the executive action here, it's over the executive agencies, right? It's over police departments. It's over doing threat assessments. It's places where an executive action, it was meant to take place and can be utilized.
Right.
I think he wants everything else to happen via legislative action. With it is like you said, with the arming of teachers and such like that.
Exactly. So hats off to folks over there in Oklahoma. All right, a couple of things of note as we go to our parting shots. Piers Morgan had a very, very interesting conversation, really interesting point. You notice no one's using the term birthing persons anymore after the Roe v. Wade decisions. In fact, they're talking about a woman's right to choose, not a birthing person's right to choose. And in this particular tweet, Piers Morgan notes, I notice everybody's suddenly using the word woman again.
Right?
Oh, that is good stuff. That is good stuff. But now this was one that I think everybody has noted, but Ben Shapiro was the one probably got the tweet out first that had made the most about this. And this is the uniqueness of the two decisions that came out at the end of last week and the difference in the left's response. This is Ben Shapiro tweeting the left. Oh my God, the Supreme Court is not going to protect our constitutional right to an abortion, which appears nowhere in the Constitution. Then you have also the left. Oh my God, the Supreme Court is saying that there's a constitutional right to keep and bear arms, the text of which is explicitly in the Constitution.
Hypocrites, right? And uneducated hypocrites at that. So it's amusing at this point. It amuses me.
Right. Well, and once again, I've had this argument debate with a number of different people where I've simply said, look, I will just go with what's written in the Constitution. Abortion is not there. The right to an abortion is not there. Also, though, the right to keep and bear arms is there. So I don't see what the debate is unless you're just stupid. You're either stupid, ignorant, or willfully ignorant, or all three.
There you go. Just like that.
All right, Mikey, it's about that time. Quick shout out to the sponsors.
Let's say hello to our good friends at uscombatgear.com, the California Republican Assembly, Grid Defense, and Guerrilla Machining. Hello to all of our sponsor friends.
Folks, these are the folks that help make this possible. So I need you to do us a favor. I need you to follow the link in the description of this video or this podcast. Go there, visit there, see if you like what they got, and if they do, send them some of your money, and they'll take good care of you. And make sure though that you tell them the guys over at the Rundown sent you. With that, we're gonna be going today. Like to encourage you guys once again, like, share, subscribe. Encourage your friends to do the same. We will see you tomorrow on Taco Tuesday.